Okay, welcome everybody to the July 15th, 2019 Board of Selectmen's meeting. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Alrighty. I think we're going to probably jump around a little bit, Lonnie. So citizen statements and petitions. Seeing none, hearing none. Do we have the correspondence? All right, so they're probably going to jump over the correspondence of the board. Meeting minutes for approval, 9/25, 12/17/18, 6/17/19, and 6/19/19.
Why don't you wait till the next meeting, only because I wasn't here for the 18th?
Yeah, that's what I was just saying earlier. Yep. So we're gonna kind of jump over that. I'm gonna jump over. We had let's see. We do have correspondence, but I'm gonna jump over the correspondence to the board, Lonnie, for the presentation of the life-saving accommodation bars.
Yep.
And I'm gonna go to the Nipmuc Gridiron Club requests. They request permission to hold an annual Mendon Helmet Drive fundraiser on August 3rd, 2019, from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. Is the Gridiron here? No. Yeah, I don't think they need to be here. I mean, this is something they do every year, right? So.
I move to approve Nipmuc Gridiron Club's request to hold an annual Mendon Helmet Drive fundraiser at the intersection of North Ave and Route 16 on August 3rd, 2019, from 9 a.m. to 12 noon.
Step down second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Let's see, why don't we move to, why don't we move to 6? Consider the appointment of regular on-call firefighters, Kevin Anderson, Chris Jarvis, and Aaron Taft. Hey, Chief.
Hi. Thank you. Back in the January, February timeframe, you had appointed these three gentlemen as recruit firefighters. Since that point, they have attended the Massachusetts Fire Academy Call Volunteer Recruit Program. They passed that program and passed the certification tests as well. So they are now nationally recognized Firefighter 1-2 certified. And I'd like to ask the board to appoint them as regular on-call firefighters so they could start responding with the rest of the troops.
Oh, fantastic. You want to make a motion?
Yeah, sure. I move to appoint Kevin Anderson, Chris Jarvis, and Aaron Taft as regular on-call firefighters.
Step down second. Further discussion on that. What does that bring our number up to, Chief?
That'll bring us up to 8 plus Jason, 9 regular on-call firefighters. We have 5 career positions, the 6th one we'll talk about in a little bit. We do have one of the people who attended the spring recruit needs to take the certification test this fall, so we are hopeful that that is passed. Mm-hmm. And then we have 3 recruits in the class that just started a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
That'll get our numbers to pretty close to, I think, where a town this size can operate okay. We're going to be setting up 3 separate groups that will be rotating through on coverage. So I think we're getting pretty close to a fair number of people that, both from a coverage perspective and financial perspective, is a good mix.
Fantastic.
Does this make a difference on the concern that we were having with people going out hurt and overtime and whatnot, or is that more on the paramedic EMT side?
That's on the career side.
Okay.
Yeah, out of the 5 career positions, 2 of them are out on injury right now, which will lead to the later appointment of.
Yeah, understood.
All right. Any other discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, since we got a few more minutes, Chief, why don't we just keep on going?
Okay.
Because you wanted to skip over the correspondence to the board.
Yes, if we could,
And then
until-
I have a 6:45 public hearing, and then
Okay.
just blast right through this. So, consider the appointment of career firefighter paramedic Brett Lizak,
Lezak.
sorry.
Brett. This is firefighter paramedic Brett Lezak.
Good evening.
Hey, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Yourself?
Good, thanks.
So as part of the budget process, we were able to add a sixth career person within the budget, and the intent was to redo the shifts so that we get to 24/7 paramedic coverage guaranteed by a career person, and then backfill some of the open night shifts with on-call and per diem personnel. We had one of the 5 career member out on a long-term injury, and about a month, 6 weeks ago, one of the other career people went out with a knee injury that is looking like it's going to require surgery, of which there's approximately 5-month recovery time. So we're not able to really look at redoing the shift schedule now because it would just be too disruptive and ultimately too costly. But what I would like to do is to add that 6th career firefighter now to backfill one of those positions. And between working with the shift schedules and the reimbursement that we get from our insurance company, that'll cover the costs until we can get that shift schedule squared away. So we did go through we posted it in conjunction with Human Resources. We had 21 applications, of which 13 had 0 fire or EMS experience, so they were very quickly weeded out. And we had an interview committee, and it ended up interviewing 4 candidates for the position. And through that process, Mr. Lezak came out on top of all members of the interview board. Brett worked with me for 20 years or so over in Uxbridge, initially as a call firefighter, then firefighter EMT, and firefighter intermediate, because that's the steps we took, and then ultimately 10 years ago got his paramedic. He did leave Uxbridge and went to as a nurse up at UMass, working at UMass Hospital, and joined the Acton Fire Department as a firefighter paramedic, where he is today. So he's got 20 plus years of firefighter experience, 10 years as a paramedic, and will bring a good amount of experience to our department to help with some of the new recruits that we are bringing in to help them gain experience. He's also got many certifications. I mean, he takes the job seriously and does work on developing himself. And I would ask the board to appoint him as a career firefighter, contingent on just finishing up the paperwork that we need to finish up. And I need to get the final report from Reliant Medical, which I expect any day now. And Detective Blanchett, or Sergeant Blanchett, just finishing the background check. I've known Brett for many, many years. I kind of had him under my wing over in Uxbridge, and it'd be nice to have him back. But I don't think there'll be any problems coming up from any of the items that we're waiting on.
All right, I'll take a motion. Lonnie?
I move to appoint Brett Lezak as career firefighter / paramedic, pending background check from the police department, paperwork from Reliant Medical Group, you said, and what was the third one? Internal paperwork?
Proof of certification of paramedic and firefighter 1, 2.
Proof of certifications required for the position.
Okay, step down a second. Any further discussion on that? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard, man.
Thank you, John.
All right, thank you. Chief, you want to do, we got literally like 4 minutes, we could probably knock this out.
We'll do it. I promise not to talk much.
Consider appointing Lindsay Kelly as regular on-call firefighter / EMT.
Lindsay? Front and center, please.
Front center. Hey, Lindsay.
How are you?
So, yeah, I think you met Lindsay back in June. We were desperate to try and get some help after one of the career guys got hurt, and you appointed her as a per diem at the time. She was going through the hiring process for an on-call firefighter EMT, but we were still somewhat early in the process. She's now completed everything up to the state PAT test, which is scheduled for August 1st. I wasn't sure on your meeting schedule for the summer and for August, so I would ask that you appoint her on a conditional basis of passing the PAT as a regular on-call firefighter EMT, so that we may get her services as quickly as we can.
Okay. I'll take a motion on that. Lonnie?
So what was that last part, though? Did you say it's pending? Or
The state physical abilities test.
Oh, okay. I move to appoint Lindsay Kelly as regular on-call firefighter / EMT pending the physical fitness test.
So step down a second. Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Lindsay.
Welcome aboard.
Just plowing through this stuff tonight, Lonnie. My gosh. See. Second, because we're gonna have to jump into a public hearing.
Okay, just let him know he's all set.
You can make the motion, you can do that after. We got about 1 minute, guys, so just bear with me for 1 minute.
The procedure to read it first and then make the motion? Make the motion, then read it. Okay. I move to open the public hearing to consider a license for a new underground storage tank for flammables / combustibles at 25 Cape Road for Gold Medalist LLC.
Step down in a second. Discussion. Actually, we gotta do a roll call on that first, right? We don't have to do discussion. So a roll call's needed. Burke, aye?
Tenio, aye.
Okay, so now you can read that public
Yep.
hearing.
A public hearing will be held on July 15th, 2019 at 6:45 PM by the Mendon Board of Selectmen in the Upper Town Hall Meeting Room, 20 Main Street, Mendon, Mass. 01756, to consider the application for a new license to store flammables / combustibles by Abe Dredge from Gold Medalist LLC, 25 Cape Road, Mendon, Mass. Under Mass General Law, Chapter 148, Section 13. All interested parties will be given an opportunity to be heard.
All right, discussion on that.
Waylon here is supposed to be an Osterman to speak to this.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Just to correct that, I believe you mentioned underground storage, and it's actually going to be above ground storage, just so you're aware.
If you want to have a seat,
okay.
Just for way of explanation on that, the form that, the licensing form, I think is titled as UST underground storage, but it does go on to add other items such as liquid propane storage as well.
Okay. Okay.
Is it, not that I want to delay this by any means, but I also don't want to screw it up, and is this going to screw up the hearing? Okay.
Okay.
So the applicant is actually a Greco. They are a commercial and industrial supplier of rental equipment, and they currently have 2 1,000-gallon propane tanks above ground to run their equipment there, and they are in desperate need of a bigger capacity. So we're applying for the storage to add four more 1,000-gallon tanks there to meet their needs for their equipment that they use the propane to actually test their equipment, and before they ship it out to their large commercial and industrial clients.
Just to explain a little bit about why the 8,000 gallon amount, when you heard the 6 1,000s.
Yes.
When we went out to the site, when this first came up a few months ago, we found that Osterman, a previous salesperson, was treating the gas station in the front and the Agreco property as two separate pieces of property, when in actuality, it's one physical lot there. The code says that the storage is per lot. Now, the gas station up front also has two 1,000 gallon propane tanks on it, so we had to put the skids on the stop to a previous license application coming before the board until we could get the paperwork done again properly to bring the total plot allowed storage up to 8,000, of which 2 will be for the gas station in the front and 6,000 for Agreco in the back. And the fire department has no objection to this license.
Okay. Never been through this before, I'll be honest with you. I was checking with Kim and Laura before we got here. I guess the only question that I have is, does it need to go in front of zoning or planning or Concom or anything like that?
Not to my knowledge. The process is, state law requires the local governing authority to have the ability to regulate items that may cause some public consternation, and therefore have a public hearing so that you can hear from abutters and that, any potential objections. The fire department, fire chief is responsible for replying on that application. Once you issue the license to have that storage, they still have to get it permitted through the permitting authority, which for liquid propane is the fire department. So they cannot store there. They can store up to 8,000 gallons, but they can't store it until they have a permit from the fire department. So we're going to go out there and make sure that all the liquid propane regulations, distance to the lot line, et cetera, are within the regulations.
So you guys are the authority having jurisdiction is what I hear you saying. And
You
make
have,
sure
the
that also-
board has the authority to issue the license to exceed 2,000. They're allowed to store up to 2,000 gallons on a lot without a license, but by permit from the fire department. So when the storage exceeds 2,000 for propane, they need a license from the board, but they still need the permit
Okay.
from the fire department.
Any questions on
I have none.
that? Okay.
No, I know the property.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering about process because I just.
Sure.
asked
Yep.
process.
You asked all the questions I would have asked.
So, okay. All right, any other discussion on this?
I have, no, anything from the crowd?
Nothing? Hearing none, seeing none? Take a motion to close the hearing?
I move to close the public hearing for 25 Cape Road.
Step down second. All in favor?
It's roll call again.
What's that?
It's roll call again.
Burkeye?
Tenio, aye.
Okay. And I'll take a motion.
I move to approve a new underground, sorry, I'm going to clarify it. I move to approve a new above-ground storage tank for flammable combustibles at, actually, no, that's not even going to be correct. We're setting the limit to 8,000 is really what we're doing, right? Chief?
Hey, Chief?
Sorry, Chief Kessler? Sorry, can I say, we're, just so I get the motion correct, we're moving to, move it from 2,000 to 8,000, correct? For the parcel?
You would be approving the license to store up to 8,000 gallons of propane on site.
Okay, got it. I just want to make sure I get the motion right. I move to approve the new above-ground, sorry, actually.
You got it?
I move to approve the new liquid propane limit to 8,000 gallons at 25 Cape Road for Gold Medalist LLC, pending the return of positive routing strips.
All right, step down second. All right, all in favor?
Tenio, aye.
Burkeye, we don't need to do a roll call.
All right, set it
vote on
again.
that.
All right, set it. All right, thanks,
Okay.
Chief.
Thanks, Chief. All right, we
Thank
got liquid propane now. Holy
All right, we got that one.
All right, so we got this one, this one, this one.
Now,
I got this one, I got this one. Why don't we do the trailer? So why don't we consider temporary trailer permit, 138 Blackstone Street.
What number is that? We're out.
That's number 10. How you
Wyatt.
doing? Good, how are you?
Good. So I'm just looking to renew that permit.
Okay, so this is for, correct me if I'm wrong, you're Teddy Schofield? right?
Yes.
Okay, so Rich Schofield's brother, wives, you know.
Yep.
When you came in, I think a couple of years ago, right? It was
Yeah.
gonna take you about a year to get this
Yeah,
done?
I was just unprepared at that time, and I should have waited to pull it, but I let it expire, and then now I'm ready to get going, so
Okay.
I'd like to renew
And
it.
how long is it gonna take you to get this done?
I'd like 2 years, just because I'm gonna do a lot of the inside stuff myself. That would be about the end of it, you know?
Because the last time you...
I'd like to do it quicker, but,
The last time you came to us, you said it was only gonna take you a year.
right, well, yeah,
That was 2 years ago.
you're right. I think
so-
a few situations changed, and so.
I'm not busting your tail here.
No, no,
I'm
no,
just trying to figure out how long we gotta grant this.
Right, but I'm saying too, I'm hoping to do it in a year,
Okay,
so, but I don't wanna have to come back and go through it again.
okay. I have received a letter from the chief, about the, because it's a living arrangement?
Yeah. So I have no objection to the trailer. My only concern is, my understanding is when the trailer first went there, there was no inspection for smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors. When new construction happens, a new house is built, we sign off on the building permit. We go out and check to make sure that that protection's there. On a real estate transfer, we do as well. If the board has the authority within the granting of this, I would just ask that it be a condition on passing an inspection for smoke and carbon monoxide carbon monoxide if required. I don't know if there's propane or,
No, yeah, I have both carbon monoxide and smoke
okay.
detectors
So
in the trailer.
it would
Working.
just simply be a quick inspection to make sure that the same safety that's required of a single-family dwelling, or any residential dwelling is for this trailer as well.
Okay. You're not gonna come back to us in 2 years and tell us
No,
you gotta do it again,
no,
right?
I'm on my own after this.
All right.
Absolutely not.
About the general bylaws of the town.
Yeah.
It says the temporary permit shall expire at the end of 6 months.
Right.
Last application to renew is applied for a renew by the board. So after 6 months, you can come back and
Okay, so it sounds like we've been doing it wrong the whole time.
well, I don't, we haven't done.
And the first time we issued it was for 6 months.
Oh, was it for 6 months? I'm sorry, I thought it was for a
I
year.
just want to make sure that that was.
Okay, so you're gonna have to come back, you're gonna have to do this every 6
Can I
months.
just see it for 1 sec?
I read that on the application.
I didn't know that the last time, I thought we had done it for a year. So. This is why we have you, Laura. Thank you.
Wait a minute. Oh, I see. That's right. I made the wrong one.
See when you're done.
It's confusing the wording that it says all temporary permits shall expire at the end of 6 months unless. Oh, yeah. I got it. Never mind. I see what you're saying. Okay. Thinking it a different way.
Yeah, okay. All right, so you're gonna have to come back every 6 months.
So is there a way to auto-renew it? Or no?
We've only had 2
Yeah, right.
in the 5 years that I've been here. And the other circumstance, we had that person come in
Okay, all right.
6 months and just check in and
Okay.
sort of just go
Okay.
through the motions.
Perfect.
Okay, all right. So I'll take a motion, Lonnie.
I move to approve a temporary trailer permit for 138 Blackstone Street for Richard Schofield. No.
Piece of property.
Oh, sorry, for Richard Schofield, pending the receipt of positive routing slips.
I'll step down in second. Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Look forward to seeing a house there.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Okay, that's that. Now I gotta get caught up again. Chief, we all set? Okay, so I'm gonna jump back to Correspondence to the boards, presentation of life-saving commendation bars. Received a letter from the chief. Come on up, chief. Believe we had a medical incident within the community, and Chief, it sounded like things went very good, which I'm thrilled about.
Yes.
Chief, you want to update us?
I'll give you just a little brief background, then I'll read for the record what I had sent to the board. All first responders and many people and many general citizens are trained in CPR, and as part of the American Heart Association's chain of survival, there's 5 pieces to it. 1, early notification to essentially 911, early CPR, a rapid defibrillation, rapid transport to the hospital, and an after arrest care as well. And on the night of June 19th, there was a team of public safety personnel, as well as some citizens on the soccer fields that put together this chain of survival perfectly and resulted in a life being saved. I'll just list off the public safety members prior to reading what I had sent to you. Those members were the Public Safety Dispatcher Jessica LeBlanc, Police Sergeant Matthew Hoare, Police Officer Gregory Palmer, Fire Lieutenant Craig Burnham, Fire Lieutenant Jason Bangma, Firefighter EMT Charlie Phipps, Firefighter EMT Philip Rich, Firefighter EMT Aram Taft, Firefighter Matthew Fleury, Firefighter David Fleury, and EMT Lindsay Kelly. So on the night of June 19th at 8:22 p.m., a 911 call was received by Public Safety Dispatcher Jess LeBlanc reporting a 16-year-old male having trouble breathing and turning blue. The caller then reported that the youth became unresponsive, had stopped breathing, and CPR was in progress. On arrival of the initial public safety personnel, Officer Greg Palmer assumed performing CPR, and Lieutenant Greg Burnham and Firefighter EMT Charlie Phipps performed the assessment and began further care. Lieutenant Burnham checked for a pulse, of which there was none. Upon placing the patient on the cardiac monitor, Lieutenant Burnham found the patient to be in ventricular fibrillation, a non-life-sustaining rhythm of dissociated electrical currents. Basically, this is a precursor to imminent death. The treatment for this dysrhythmia is an electric shock to restart the heart. Lieutenant Burnham utilized the cardiac monitor to initiate this shock for advanced cardiac life support protocols, and shortly after this shock, the patient began spontaneous respirations, better known as breathing on his own. A pulse check found a palpable pulse, and the monitor showed the patient to be in a sinus or normal rhythm. Post-resuscitation care began, and the patient was transported to Milford Hospital. During an incident such as this, there are many tasks that needed to be taken care of on scene and during transport, which the other responders assisted with. Shortly after that night, I was contacted by the patient's mother, who stated the patient was doing well at Children's Hospital in Boston and was expecting to have no lasting deficits. Due to the efforts of the responding personnel and a very positive outcome, Chief Kersey and I recommend commendations for their life-saving roles and presentation to each of them of a life-saving commendation bar. And I would also, if the board would let me, like to introduce Dr. Jerry Rubin, who is the patient's mother. She has some words to say, and I think has some words from the patient as well.
Sure.
And this is his stepdad.
Yes, my stepdad, John.
Hi.
Yeah, so I did prepare a little something to say, if that's okay. I've been a pediatrician for over 20 years, and John is retired law enforcement, a captain from the state of Vermont. And as a pediatrician and a first responder, we've been involved with numerous situations where this is not always having the best results. So the people who saved Charlie jumped into action, came together so well that this could have been a training video on how it should be done. They all should be commended on their efforts. They all have our most sincere gratitude for giving Charlie his new birthday. For those who don't know what transpired, Chief explained that for me, on that Wednesday night, I got to receive the call that's the parent's worst nightmare. His coach, Tim Hallett, was on the line, and he was frantic, and he was looking for Charlie's dad, who was at the field. And he said, "It's really bad, Jerry." I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Charlie collapsed. We're giving him CPR on the field, and the paramedics were called." So we live only almost 2 hours from the field. We come down here to train. And so John and I got ready to leave, and within 5 minutes, one of the Mendon police officers called and said, "Charlie's stable. He's in an ambulance. He's on his way to Milford Hospital." And so we traveled a little more peacefully. So we got in our car knowing, oh my God, what is this? Because we've all seen the worst of this. And we never didn't know why it happened. He didn't have a history of this. And fortunately, we got multiple updates from Charlie's dad and the ER docs in Milford, and got redirected to UMass, where he was transferred. What they discovered is Charlie had gone into this heart rhythm that's not sustainable for life. He is alive today because of the quick actions of the coaches on the field and the Mendon Fire Department and all the first responders in the town. And their quick action led us to have a wonderful outcome. The coaches on the field were great. The full-time coaches are all trained in CPR. Because of U.S. Soccer recommendations, they have an AED on the field, and there was a physician bystander. So Tim Hallett's the head coach, Jeff Causey's the goalie coach, John Eckford and Christian Battaglia and Matt Crago were all involved in activating the system. So Charlie did get to meet Craig. We came down last week for his practice before they went to Colorado, but he never got to meet the other Charlie. So, and I don't think it's really sunk into what has happened to him. But our lives would have been really different without the actions of your first responders in your town. And Charlie, as it's okay, I have a really brief video for you guys who were on the scene from him. And I don't know, it's only on this on our iPad, but he and his coach put together something.
Yeah, if the guys want to come up, that's great.
So the guys, they qualified for nationals, and unfortunately they didn't make it to the finals. They lost. Were shorted by 1 goal. But here's a video from them. You guys.
This is Tim Hannah from NEFC. Sending a video message away from Colorado. We made the national finals this year. But we just want to say thank you to the Mendon Fire Department. If it wasn't for those guys, this boy to my right over here, Charlie, here, we're very lucky to have them just down the street from our NEFC Mendon facility. We really want to thank you to excellent response to the situation. You guys were awesome. We're very, very thankful. Thank you, Greg and Charlie, for saving our life. You always have to say that. It's a very back to since we got to you because of you guys. Thanks, guys.
I'd just like to add too, like you won't, it's hard to believe that he's actually played every game since he's been out there. Like he's like probably better than he was before he went to practice.
Yes, he is.
It's amazing. So it's like, I mean, it could have been such a different outcome. And trust me, over the years, 30 years, I've seen a lot of different, more unlikely.
And the coaches wish they could have been here tonight, but there's the people involved, several of them are still out in Colorado with their team, but they thank you very much for being so close.
Thank you. Wow. Amazing.
Yes. Yeah. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Charlie, quick picture. What do you want to do? Take one here? If we can grab the board members and do it right in front of the flag.
If you guys want to come up here, we'll just do it right in front of the flag. Guys, we're going to do it in front of the flag. What do you want, Chief?
It's right in the middle.
Tall. Yeah, I think so.
You gotta squeeze in.
Squeeze in, Lonnie.
Squeeze in, otherwise you don't wanna see.
We got enough room here. Everybody turn?
A little bit of turn, squeeze in, that side, please.
Could Lonnie and Selectman
Yeah.
Burke step forward, the rest of you following behind them?
We should be able to.
Obeying,
It should be, you guys should be out
yeah,
front.
you wanna come up front here, you're shorter, please. Charlie, you're
Yeah.
shorter, please. Right, fantastic.
There we go, perfect.
Oh, we have
Yes.
John here as well.
I'm down, chief, I'm down.
That's, if you want to be in a picture, it's going to be out on Facebook.
That's okay.
Yep, perfect, right there.
That's good, yeah.
We good? Good job, guys. All right. Oh, I'm glad it turned out that way, Chief. That's awesome. Good job, guys. Is that everything we have with you tonight? I think that's everything we have with the Chief, right? All right. Let's see. All right, guys, we still got a little bit more business to do, so if you want to talk, if you could just bring it outside, okay? All right, so consider a one-day special licensed beer and wine only for Mendon Upton Youth Soccer Association fundraiser, October 5th, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Take a motion on that, Lonnie.
I move to approve a one-day special license, beer and wine only for the Mendon Upton Youth Soccer Association fundraiser, October 5th, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Step down in second. So this is the same one that they do every year, right?
It's Oktoberfest?
Going to, yes, that's exactly it. She was going to come, she said this morning, she would be
Yeah, can we ask no rain this coming year? It was muddy last year.
You can put that in the motion if you want.
Yeah.
All right.
Pending no rain.
Pending no rain. I assume same routing slips as always, the same process. Yep.
Insurance.
Okay.
Is it a roll call vote, just because it says it? Okay.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Let's see, end of the year transfers.
There's a
Let's-
list in your books that's just mostly cleanup for, that aren't negative account balances. They're rounding things, they're smaller dollar
The
amounts,
second
they're,
one has been pulled.
yeah. Right, so it's
This
just-
one doesn't?
Right.
It's the one big one, the chief escrow is the one that's, this is not going.
What number are we on?
Oh, okay.
Most of these are within their same department.
Okay.
Right, it's just cleanup.
Just clean up. I don't have any problem with that. Do it every year,
And then we're done.
then we're
The
done.
fiscal year is done.
You're gonna miss it so much.
On to the next one.
So it's just all these?
Just those.
So I'm just gonna make a motion as written.
As presented by the town administrator.
All right. Oh, I see it. That's what it said. I move to approve the end of year transfers as presented by the town administrator.
Step down second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And this is the original.
Okay, meeting dates.
We have a date. Did we agree on the August date? Or did we
I thought
just
so.
tentatively say? So August 19th, I believe, we selected for our next meeting date, right?
Let me just, did you already send out a thing for it?
I believe so. Yes. So we need meeting dates for September. And we want to select a date for November STM so that we can come back and open the warrant in August for the meeting. So if we select a date now, we can sort of float it out there and make sure there aren't any problems with that
What's the
particular date.
rough date? It's, you know what, it's always this date that I have to go.
So right now, the date that, the week of the 18th of November is, so we were looking at that Tuesday, the 19th. We've had it as late as the week of Thanksgiving. We've had it,
What's Thanksgiving this year, the last week?
it's the 28th. So,
28. So my only gripe is, and it's the last 2 years, I think we've moved it out to January actually, is we just do this annual Thanksgiving dinner for the Mustard Seed in Worcester, which, you know, just less fortunate folks, and I don't like to miss it, but I also don't want to miss the special town meeting. So if that plays into it, I also,
do you know what the date is?
I don't know yet, but being the third Tuesday of the month, it would be the 19th.
Yeah, so you think it's that day?
That's
I mean,
generally
it-
when-
It could be Wednesday, the 20th. We've just been having them on Tuesdays or Fridays.
Oh, I see.
So it's, you really could select any day, and then we just have to make sure the space
If
is
I had
available.
to be selfish about it, I would request the 20th.
Okay.
I have no problem with that. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Or Monday, the 18th. Whatever's more convenient.
I think Jay is unavailable on the 18th,
Like, we need Jay then.
the moderator.
I'm fine with the 20th.
Okay, so we'll float the 20th, and if everybody's cool with it, then next meeting, we'll open the warrant.
All right, and what's our next meeting here?
August 19th,
Gosh. I might not be able to attend the 19th. That means, I mean, you guys could still have the meeting. I just might not be there.
Would the 20th work for you?
20th would work. 19th is, 19th,
I mean,
it's gonna be tough.
it doesn't matter to me.
it doesn't matter to me either.
We could do the
Yeah.
20th.
Summer's pretty flexible.
Just so everybody's here.
Yeah, it's-
Want to just change the invite?
We'll do that.
Yay.
Wait, did we send out any public hearings or anything? No. Okay, so no one is anticipating that we're meeting on the 19th? Okay.
Okay.
I haven't got any calls.
Okay, and then we can, let's worry about September. I mean, it's later, because, you know, when school calendars start coming up, everything will change, and so there's no point in even picking dates right now, because it's, you know, I know that first week is Labor Day, though, so
Yep.
it'll probably be the second week of September.
Yeah, right. I am traveling. I'm traveling that first week of September anyways.
Labor Day week,
Yeah.
so we
I'll
probably,
probably go too.
this probably wouldn't be, so it'd be the 9th, and then the 2 weeks after that.
We can pick it at the next meeting with everybody here, though, right?
Yeah,
Just to
yeah,
Make sure Mark's
yeah.
okay with it.
Yeah, okay. All right.
All right.
Anything else, Kim, on that?
No,
No?
that's it.
Okay.
Executive session.
Executive session.
I move to enter an executive session under purpose number 2 for Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel, the library director. Roll call vote needed. Will reconvene only to adjourn.
I'll second it. Burke, aye.
Tenio, aye.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.